Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and as always, before this video starts, I want to say thank you to all who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal or Super Thanks. I really appreciate your generosity, so thank you friends and have a blessed day. Now, today's video, as tradition implies, I will start with Avdiivka front, and first things first, discuss the situation within the Robotino village. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainians continued their offensive in this area. They attacked from Robotino in the direction of Russian positions that are situated in between villages of Robotino and Novoprokopivka, and the battle is now ongoing. Ukrainians were geolocated somewhere within this forest line. It wouldn't come as a surprise if Russians have a trench line within the forest line here. So if my assumption is correct and there is a trench line, currently there is a battle going on for it. Ukrainians were spotted somewhere here within this area, which indicates that they were able to, at least for now, secure this forest and this portion of the trench, and attacked in the direction of other Russian defensive lines with more force. In this sector, Ukrainians are mostly using infantry, and whatever infantry fighting vehicle or tank that enters Robotino is almost immediately targeted and being neither destroyed or damaged. The damage can go from minor, after which a vehicle can safely drive off, or pretty significant, after which the vehicle is left behind and the infantry itself retreats. Then the situation here with this ledge that is located in between Robotino and Verbova. Situation here is developing in the most interesting way. Not only Ukrainians are attacking to the flank of the Russian positions that are defending Novoprokopivka from Ukrainian assaults, and of course these attacks came in sync with these attacks here. So Russian forces within this area are attacked from two directions simultaneously, which is usually quite effective. Ukrainians also continue to expand their zone of control here in this area. In the last 24 hours, a lot of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles were sighted in this particular area, although it doesn't seem like those tanks are going in the direction of the first line of Russian defense, but in fact are advancing in the direction of Novoprokopivka. With Ukrainian offensive now in full swing, there is a lot of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles that are used in this area. The tanks are now mostly Soviet built, which means that Ukrainians neither ran out of European built tanks or decided to go with the cheaper and, I would say, more effective option. With the increase of Ukrainian armor being used on the battlefield, there are now more videos of that said armor being hit by Russian artillery or drones. For example, here in this video, you can see a Russian, let's say, drone striking a not so well concealed BMP and destroying it in the process. On an interesting note, it is important to speak of Ukrainian movements within this area. At this point in time, Ukrainian infantry are mostly moving across these forest lines in an attempt to conceal themselves as much as possible and not be spotted by the Russian artillery or by the Russian drones. On this video, you can see Russian artillery working on these forest lines, thus decreasing effectiveness of Ukrainian attacks in this area. Another news that are coming in from this sector is that before leaving, Russians heavily mined this entire area, mostly the forest lines in which Ukrainians are forced to advance, and as they advance they are stepping on those mines and take heavy casualties. Now I have a video of that in my Telegram channel. There is no blood or gore, but YouTube still doesn't really like this kind of content, so if you want to see exactly what I'm talking about, please consider visiting my Telegram channel. Then from this area, let's move to the settlement of Verbova and discuss the situation here. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainians yet again attempted an assault in the general direction of Verbova. However, it was unsuccessful. After all this time, there is no reports that Ukrainians were able to successfully cross the anti-tank ditch and the dragon teeth with their armor, be it infantry fighting vehicles or tanks, and all of the attacks that are coming in the direction of Verbova are infantry only. With the Russian trench located here, all attacks in this direction is fruitless. From here, let's move to the Velyka tactical bridgehead and discuss the situation there. First of all, it is important to note that the initial claims that Ukrainians were transporting troops out of this front and reinforcing this front was true. This report first came in a few days ago, and the dynamic immediately changed. Ukrainian attacks in the direction of Priyutne, in the direction of these Russian positions here, and from Staromayorsk and Urozhaine had significantly decreased in number and intensity. However, on the other hand, the attacks in the general direction of Novodonetsk, Novomayorsk, and Shevchenka had significantly increased. It is important to note that Ukrainian attacks also came in the direction of this Russian-controlled salient and in the general direction of Kremenchuk. Now that we're out of the way with the general stuff, let's discuss the situation with particular settlements closer. First comes the settlement of Novodonetsk. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainians had yet again attempted an assault towards this settlement. These assaults came directly from Zlota Niva along this road, as well as to the flank of Novodonetsk in attempt to capture this road and cut off supplies to this settlement. At the time of recording, all of these attacks were successfully repelled by the Russians, and Ukrainians were unable to enter the settlement and initiate the battle for it. However, they have advanced here ever slightly and captured this portion of the front line. Then, from Novodonetsk, let's move to the settlement of Novomayorsk and discuss the situation here as well. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainians also assaulted Russian positions all across this front. Their attack came directly in the direction of Novomayorsk, as well as in between those two villages, and as a result of that, they were able to advance slightly and take control over a small portion of the recently controlled Russian territory. Yesterday, I reported that Ukrainians initially entered the settlement of Novomayorsk, but were counterattacked by the Russians and were forced to retreat. Today, the attack was more intense, and as a result of that, Ukrainians had re-entered the settlement of Staromayorsk, advanced slightly more than they had previously, and initiated the battle for the settlement. So at this point in time, the settlement of Novomayorsk is contested territory. The battle here is still ongoing, and the result of it is unclear. From Vremivka tactical bridgehead, let's jump all the way to the Avdiivka front and discuss the situation here. Throughout last few months, this front was quiet and uneventful, with both Russians and Ukrainians engaged in active defense, attacking and counterattacking each other, but without any significant territorial changes. However, in the last few days, Ukrainians had activized here very rapidly and started assaulting Russian positions and Russian-controlled settlements all across the front. These attacks came in the direction of Krasnogorivka from Stepova and Novokalinovo, as well as in the direction of Russian-controlled village of Vesely and Russian-controlled village of Kamyanka. Ukrainians were also attacking in the direction of village of Vadyane and settlement of Apitne. All throughout these attacks, Russians answered Ukrainians with counterattacks of their own, which did not allow Ukrainians to gain any territory on this front, except village of Apitne. So it requires a special attention, so let's go straight to it. As you can see, after new territorial change that appeared on this front, Ukrainians are now able to enter the settlement, which they did not so long ago. And as a result of Ukrainian attacks in its direction, the battle for this village was initiated. However, the result of it is still unclear. I will use this as a perfect opportunity to ask you to like, comment, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel. For you, it's just few clicks, but for me, it's everything. Not only these actions help promote this video to a wider audience, but also helps promote the message. Then from Avdiivka, let's move to Bakhmut city and discuss the situation first on its southern flank. The situation in Klishchiivka is developing quite rapidly. For example, a pro-Ukrainian source claimed that as a result of recent Ukrainian attacks, the village was entirely abandoned by the Russians. They have fully retreated from the village, giving it to Ukrainians, and the cleaning operation of it is now ongoing. It should have happened eventually, and perhaps this is the time it did. Again, like I said in the previous video, Russians still have this rail line, which they can use as a defensive line as well, and they still hold a significant part of this field, which potentially can allow them to counterattack Ukrainians within Klishchiivka and regain initiative. However, at this point, I don't believe Klishchiivka has any tactical value. It is nearly destroyed and is located in the lowlands right in front of the hill. So with the mission of stopping Ukrainian forces and not allow them to advance deeper into the Russian formation and army groups, this village had succeeded. Before I move to the other section of the front, please pause the video and go to the comment section and tell me whether Klishchiivka still holds its tactical and strategic value, or the village exhausted its usability and there is no need to counterattack and retake it back. It would be really interesting to read your opinion on it. Then from here we go to the northern flank, where surprisingly Russians made an advance. As a result of storming operations, Russians were able to take this portion of the front. As you can see, this is a train line that goes all the way up the hill that is located here and is almost adjacent to the village of Bogdanivka. When Wagnerites were storming Bakhmut, this is one of the vectors of attack where they were able to penetrate Ukrainian defensive lines exactly at the spot, after which they continued their advance under the cover of the force lines and attacked Ukrainian positions to the flank and rear. To this day, I'm still sure this is how they were able to nearly cut off the road here, enter the settlement of Bogdanivka, and nearly captured the settlement of Verbova. Whether this is something purely coincidental or a sign of a repeated attack that already happened in one of the final months of Bakhmut is still unclear. However, as I like to say, time will tell. In any way, this is the end of the video. I hope it was to your liking. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day and always remember, Russia will be free and great.